Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The process of understanding is very simple. The process is, as I explained last time, I explained more in detail. We are created out of the rays within the center of the universe. In interaction and reduction in strength and division by the strength in certain strength fields, in collection of the totality of the expansion of the universe, some energies, some dynamic fields have come together. Over billions of years, these fields lead to the creation of what we call the sun. Where the plasma gathers together. The same process repeats again because the sun is the same as the energy center of the universe. Now, the heavier, the larger amount of the energy which is collected in this span of the universe, we call the sun, that irradiates out, does the same thing again. Radiates its fields out, and in interaction with the itself, with the fields of itself, leads to creation of planet. In that process of the creation of planet, the same process happens again. In the interaction of the fields of the earth with its environment and cooling and exchange with the strength of the other things in the environment of the space of the solar system, leads to creation of man, cell, matter state. And that itself, in coming together and slowing down in certain ways, as we call, leads to another sun. We call the soul of the man. This is the truth about the life and creation of the man. if the soul of the man can understand and absorb and be correct with his conduct, he can become the strength of the fields and carry the strength of the field of the planet which came to this creation. And if the soul can understand with the same process, can interact, can be correct, can absorb with itself the totality of the strength of what it needs, it shall become the sun. And then the same soul has the energy that it can absorb within the solar system, within the galaxy, shall become the center of the universe. Earth, we call it the rain, come from and goes back to. In the solar system, we call it planetary system. We come from the rays, we become the planet, and we go back to the mother. The same thing happens with the galaxies, with the solar systems, which they get absorbed back in and they chewed up back into the universe. The life, the process of existence in the universe is the same. It doesn't matter what exchange and what extent. So, what is the man fighting for? Why do we fight for something which has come from the point of the creation, and in the process it goes back to the creation? The soul of the man, as the energy of the earth, gives the face of the man, the face of the earth, and that process is the same for the soul of the man. Our soul, in reduction in strength, in interaction with the emotion of the field of the environment, leads to manifestation of the existence of the man. But once it's completed, does it need the face? Or can it be and becomes free from it, what we call the soul of the man, be free and detached from its existence? Our soul is part of the process of the creation. The key to one question for man shall be in the future to be answered. As we saw the sun became the earth, and as we saw the earth became man's soul, what would be the destiny of the soul of the man now becomes free at the point of departure from physicality? Would it become the sun for creation of another life, or many lives, or correction of lives? This shall be, and this is how it happens. When you create a soul which is not correct, which is misconduct by itself cannot give, you lead to the creation of this next cycle of creation, which has started the wrong way, the wrong strength. This is one thing the man has never understood. You become the creator of another universe, another cycle. And this is what you have to judge within the structure of the soul of the man. What would I like that cycle to be? In the physical life, we create children. in the dimension of the life, of the soul of the man, what that man, what that soul will create. If man has thought up to now, that's it, my end, my point, when I die is finished, there's as much fallacy that when the sun is destroyed in any shape or form, there shall be nothing left. But we know the parts of the sun becomes part of the galaxy and becomes part of new life. So shall be the soul of the man. The judgment of the man has to be according to what he sees the future his soul can conduct to be. The day of judgment is for the man, not in front of the Creator. That what my soul judges to be and what shall create. Man never understood and shall never understand till can solve this dilemma within itself. The reality is very, very, very real. And that is, as we've seen, the energy of the galaxy become the sun, the energy of the sun has become the earth, and the energy of the earth has become the soul of the man. So shall be the soul of the man, which is the energy itself, another cycle of life. How can you change when you don't understand? How can you change the process of understanding if you do not understand the process of the creation? Do we need to extend the understanding of the man that what is the future he brings? We care about our children, what education they get, what they wear, how happy they'll be, where they sleep. Now the man has to be careful and consider what life shall my soul create, because those are the children of your soul. As we see, the rays of the sun has become a planet and 7 million children of it. 7 billion unlimited, which is growing. So the soul of the man will go through the same process. How many billions and subdivisions and sub-material state of the physicality of the man your soul shall create? Would it be the soul of wars and conflict and forever killing? Or would it be the soul of this, let's say, solar system, which is peaceful? This is the truth and the reality about the soul of the man. First of all, as I said many times recently, we never understood that the soul of the man is within the structure of the man. And now that we understood, we understand on departure from the physicality of the man, the same process will carry on as it did for a star, a planet. And the soul of the man becomes another energy source, a higher order, which itself leads to the creation. It becomes the star, it becomes the center of the new cycle of creation. This is what the human race has to understand. The cycle actually starts at the point of death and not finishes at the point of death. In so many ways, if one understands, is as the dusts, specks of dust came together to make the earth in the solar system, so has the specks of the atoms has come to be the creator of man. And the essence of the creation of the specks of dust on the solar system has led to the creation of man. So shall be the fields from the soul of the man which lead to creation of another cycle of life. What kind of life man would like to have to be created by the soul? This is the day of judgment. This is what man never understood. Now you have to understand. You have no choice. Up to today, you were not aware of it. From today, you are aware of it. You are responsible for it. Your conduct has to be to elevate your soul. That in elevating the soul, what you become the creator of stands correct in the conduct of asceticism. We don't give fairy tale. This is the truth of God. As you've seen, the process does not stop with one sun. The cycle carries on. It's very interesting in how humanity now knows in fact to handle the fact. It'll take decades for man to understand, and then you understand those who become the tools of war, the tools of conflict. They have less, they have nothing to start with. They have to become the dust in the solar system of the others till the day they learn more, as they cannot create a new cycle through their own soul. This is the elevation of the soul of the man. To be part of the creation of a beautiful life for the next cycle. When you don't have it, you have to become another cell in the body of the structure of the bigger, for you to be just there that it can done when you could have been the soul of the man. They say, do not create fear. I give you the point of love for creation. If you cared about your children on this planet to have the best, your true children come out of your own soul in the coming time. How would you like to educate them? How would you like to be when you are in conflict with yourself and the cause of so much mayhem? This is the truth, and the man will take a long time to understand, as now that we understand the soul of the man is an operator for the creation of the future extent of the life of the man. Whatever is gathered by the soul at the end becomes his point of reference of his own creation, of his own dimension. But the strangest thing is, what he creates from his soul shall become the creator of the other souls. This is the beauty about the creation, and one understands it, understands no limitation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 361st Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 31st, 2020. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today. And as usual in these workshop series, we're joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and I believe he's ready to speak on today, which is the last day of 2020. Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers program. In the past few weeks, we have started a new cycle of teaching that we prepare mankind for the final step from point of view of man understanding his own soul. As today is the eve of the Christian calendar, New Year, as we enter 2021, with a lot of hopes for the future for mankind. We strive to understand more. We strive to see more, to gather energies and essence of creation that will propel us forward to achieve more in understanding of our own, what we call potentials, our own development of knowledge about ourselves. In the past months and years, we brought everything possible together to show energies, fields, materials, effects and systems that makes mankind ready for the next step. We've shown you materials, how to make plasmas, collection of fields. We have shown you how to create conditions for changing these plasmas into effects that will convince you that there is a creation, there is a cycle of life beyond. And in this process, we have gathered more and more knowledge about ourselves, about our souls, about how we see the next step, how we see the next standing of the man in respect to his own creation. Many times in the past years, we have repetitively encouraged you to take chances, to understand more, to take in the totality of the knowledge, where mankind will become one, where mankind will become one with his soul and his physicality, where mankind will become to understand about his total life. In the recent weeks, we have taken steps, leaping steps, in trying to make sure that we understand the process of creation. We understand the totality. We understand how everything has been made to create conditions for the creation. Creation of new life, creation of new soul, creation of understanding one's existence. During the process of the teachings over years, we have spoken about process of love and loving. And in so many ways, we understand more and we try to strive to understand more. What does it mean when we love? Be it the love in the physical life or be it love in a dimension of the soul and creation. In giving and in trying to understand the totality of what we give. Many knowledge seekers in the past week have come to a point of trying to understand how to elevate their souls. But in our teachings, during the teachings, and in what we have shown in the past weeks, we have come to one point. How do we elevate? How do we understand the elevation? How do we see from what we have taught the position of the Creator? We always talk about the strongest to give to the weakest. The weakest to be there to give, to receive from the weakest point, but to give from the strength, from the strongest he has. In a way, this should have taught us a way how the Creator works. The Creator gives at the highest, at the most powerful level. But does the Creator take from the best and the highest of what he has created? In a way, the cycle of life, from learning from the point of the Creator, it starts from humbleness, from being humble, from being so low in strength that you receive, that you can give. The system of understanding is what is and what has to be understood by all, and not in one way or another followed in steps, in gaps, into what fits. In so many ways, many of you, when you made these cups, when you made these systems, when you made the pyramids since last week, you always look, how do I can set these systems that it can help me to achieve whatever, to show my soul. In reality, it goes back to the point of creation. To the point of creation by the Creator. When you stand in between the 4 systems, or maybe 6 as your knowledge extends, or maybe 8, and you stand in between for your soul to extend, to understand, to be seen, you have to become humble. Humbler than what it is. This is what I explained in a teaching yesterday. You got to understand, you create the soul of a solid. Doesn't matter what solid you have chosen. You might choose the soul from the dimension of a gold. You might choose the soul from the dimension of maybe calcium. You might choose the other dimensions. You might choose the soul of a plant. Could be your favorite flower. Could be the most beautiful things you could ever see as a tree. That becomes part of your soul, part of construction and a structure of your soul. And in that process, you have to become lower, humbler than those that you could receive from them, that your soul could be shine, could show itself. In so many ways, mankind lives with 2 dimensions. One in a dimension of the physicality, that it has to be the best, the biggest, the whatever is to have the more of, and then in a dimension of the soul, that it has to be the most humblest and lowest. And this is where the conflict between the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man has been from the time of creation. To possess, and at the same time, in the dimension of the soul, to be so humble that is below. In a way, how can these 2 exist within each other? Has been the dilemma of the man in the cycle of life. This is why we created the emotion, where the difference between the 2 becomes the emotion. The difference in the strength and understanding of what is to give and what to receive become the essence of what we call emotion of the man, or the emotion of the soul. The soul of the man receives his emotion in interaction with other souls, and in conjunction with what it receives from the physical soul to compare with. So we come to one point, many of you looking for your soul. Have you become to the point that the expectation to receive, to be so humble, and the expectation to give, to be so big, that there is no gap between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man? In so many ways, mankind has always been afraid of this loss. What am I going to lose if I let one go? And this is the reason why it has become part of the life of the man. We always die with the fear of losing, the fear of letting go, that what will happen to physicality. We try to grab and hold on to the last seconds, that we carry on at least being witness to something we call life, our own physicality, our own body. And this has become a cycle that it has destroyed mankind. In so many ways, we grab as much as we can in a physical life, but we are not so humble to give in the dimension of the soul of the man. Many, many of you will face this. Many of you will build these cups, many of you will make the pyramids, but because of non-truth, non-understanding within yourself, you will not be able to achieve the elevation of the soul. And then it become meaningless, then become nonsense, because it's not there, I cannot feel it, because you haven't become humble enough from what you have created to receive from them, and you have the greed of the man to give and to possess the physicality of the man to be alive. And this is where the two come together. This is where the mankind in the coming time will learn to trust one with the other, to elevate one that reaches the other, and in giving will bring the position and the position for both to live within each other, to live amongst and adjacent to each other. In so many ways, the fear of loss of the physicality, that it confirmed the existence of the soul, has become a noose around the neck of the man himself. In so many ways, mankind needs to step up. Mankind needs to understand, am I, can I, could I create a condition that in the level of the strength of the soul, I become lower than what I have created as the cups which are supposed to feed me. They're supposed to become the source of my life, that I can elevate and show myself by what I give. In so many ways, if you reach that point, if you come to that point, that you can be even lower than what a mankind knows to the soul of an electron, then you might understand the position and the way the Creator works. In the world of atomic nuclear structure, we always see a shining light rotating around the center. We call it the electron. But how does it become? It's so humble that through its humbleness and in lower strength manifests itself in the presence of a bigger, which is the creator of it, which is part of it, what we call the proton. So in that essence, mankind needs to understand. Mankind needs to progress to the next step. The fear of the loss of the physicality, or the love of becoming so humble to become close to the Creator, the way He is, the way He operates, the way He has been in the process of the creation. Therefore, for many of us, this dilemma needs to be solved in coming time, where we become so humble that we become lower than that, what we call, what we know at this moment, one of the smallest particles we call electron, that we can receive from it. But at the same time, in doing so, in becoming so humble, the interaction of the fields of it with us creates the manifestation and conformation of our soul. The same, when we become such a small dust of the fields, in interaction with the field of the soul of the Creator, which is even lower than us, that He says, I made you to make children that they may love me. In that creation of love and giving, it manifests itself. So in so many ways, we understand the Creator becomes even lower than us to be able to receive the love of us in what we can give. And then, as it receives from many sources, it shines more. Then it becomes the creator of more. Then it becomes the giver of more. This is what mankind has to strive to understand. And at that point, if you can achieve that point, if you can become the lower in the field of the strength of the electron, then your soul shall manifest itself. Not to you, but to those who are the observer of your existence. As I said, in many ways, we only know our existence of our soul when it comes in interaction with the soul, another plasma. Can we create the new dimension of the new soul? In a way, with the new enhancement units, we can create that condition, create such a low, much lower than what is now, and with it to allow the soul of the man to receive at the highest strength within the system, that it shines itself, it shows itself. In a way, in many teachings, I have said that in the new enhancement system, man, some of us, which will enter the system, will shine, will see a bright light inside the system. It means that we become so humble in accepting what we call the confirmation of existence of our soul, that in that interaction with the strongest fields within the system, we will shine. Is not to go in to receive, it goes in to give a new cycle, to give, to start a new cycle. It goes to the point of creation, it goes to the point of understanding, and the teachings from now on goes in that direction. How to become, how to live, and how to start structuring technologies that the science meets the religion, where the science, the systems you make and develop meets the structure of your soul, where has been the promise of the Keshe Foundation, where the science meets the soul of the man. Creating systems that the man himself can, through his development, meet and see and be able to elevate his own soul in the process of creation. We have not come here to give you UFOs. We have not come here to give you the technologies that you have a heat and electricity and the food. We have come here to teach you the essence of the creation through understanding of the technologies which man can tangibly see, develop, and with it confirm the existence of his own soul and confirmation of the greatness and the beauty of the Creator. And how humble it is that through his humbleness and the strength of the soul we transfer to him, he shines. This is where, as I said, the two meet. We bring the science and technology together, and in that respect we bring the science of the soul, understanding the operation of the within the structure of the Creator, within the structure of the physicality of the man, to be understood, to be seen, to be appreciated, and to be loved. Maybe for the first time you knowledge seekers understand why you have come such a path, why we have taken you through this cycle step by step. This is where the man, the soul of the man, meets the soul of his Creator. Through understanding of the science and technology, which has a meaning to him and has been created through, and within it, we shall lead to the creation of new cycle of life. In a way, is where the science meets the soul of the man, and the man meets the soul of his Creator. But in coming time, you need to learn more, because man is physical. Man always relies on his physicality to see, to touch, to smell, to feel, that it confirms his own physical existence. But man now has to learn about the emotion and feeling and manifestation of the soul of itself. And then in that progress and the progression to the final point, man becomes mature to the totality of his existence. And then man will realize, if I can be feeder and I can be connected to my Creator, that in return he in touch, he's within me, then the completion of the cycle of the emotion of the Creator becomes part of the emotion of the man. At that point, man reaches the point of maturity, and as we said, it becomes part of, as it is totality of. In a way, what we have created becomes our creation. In the coming weeks, as we teach more and more, we understand there is no difference between science and theology.
Both stay and both stem from the same source. But it's how we define it, in which direction. In the direction of the field transfers and energies, or in the direction of understanding of physical matter. In so many ways, the weakest ganses you can produce, you have to become even weaker than that you can receive from them, that you can shine. If you see your systems shine, it means the arrogance of the existence of the man has taken over, as you become the feeder and not the receiver. And this is a very good measure for many of you. In so many ways, mankind needs to become mature. Mankind needs to take the next step in understanding of its own existence and its totality. In so many ways, many of you who chose gold or platinum or zinc, you find out you have to change them. What's the lowest element I can find that I can make ganses of? What is the lowest element I can lead to the creation of as a gans in these corners of pyramids, that in be it I can faster confirm the existence of my soul. In so many ways, don't strive to find the fields that are the strongest. You'll find out they meet much, much above your soul. And there's no room for your souls to shine, to manifest itself, and for man to find a path to the path of creator and creation. And in that process, then as you give, you can decide what and where to manifest yourself, to be in the line of the essence of the vision and the feeling of the creator. That is the ultimate goal of the creation. To be so giving that you get noticed by the creator, that he takes and allows and gives to you, that you become him, part of him, as a collective messengers of the universe. This is the process of humbleness. This is the process we take as we call ourselves messengers of the universe. We become part of, as we become so humble to give. Maybe knowledge seekers understand why we teach so openly and freely, as the knowledge given has become pattern of our lives, to elevate the totality, unconditioned and without borders. Borders of nations as a mankind has made, or borders of the galaxies and universes. The totality of the understanding of the knowledge is that very few have ever achieved this position, and then they become part of the creator. And in that process, they need and they understand the totality of the need of not only the man, but the universe and its citizens, and the universe and its inhabitants. In so many ways, we take steps to change the condition according to the teaching of the soul, and not according to the teaching of the physicality. Maybe mankind will strive to understand more, and maybe mankind will take the next step. Maybe one day, one soul on this planet will reach that point that will make it and shows the beauty of the creator. This is where that single soul, through its humbleness and its creation, will bring the light and the shine of the creator that will elevate the whole of the creation in one instance. In a way, as the sun shines and goes through, and you put one mirror in front of it, that it lightens up the whole room, where the room was dark, and the light, one ray of light, has led to the point of enlightening the whole room. In so many ways, The creation of the new life is that beacon, that through it is so humble and is so beautiful that it will light and reflect the light of the Creator, and shining and reflecting its beauty, and it's become the source for the totality of the creation for the first time, to see the essence of the Creator's love and creation, and not necessarily to see the Creator. The creation of the new life, the new cycle for man is that point, to be the mirror, to be the point where it shines the beauty of the Creator. And as I said, it takes one soul, it takes one mirror to light up a room from the light of one candle. In a way, mankind needs to understand the process of creation is that. And now we are in that process to create that candle, to create that mirror, that it shows and reflects the light of the Creator. The birth of new life is for the whole of universe, that through it, through one mirror, through one soul, in being its humbleness and its beauty, the whole of the universe will be enlightened by the knowledge of the Creator in time to come. Now, you go back, and go back to your teachings, go back to what you've been taught over times as knowledge seekers. Don't look to create the ganses of the most powerful. Go and create the ganses of the lowest. That process in interaction, when you stand in between, you might you might be so low that in front of those you might receive to shine, as the strongest will pass you by, as you cannot reflect, as you have not created a condition for it to be absorbed and to be observer of. In so many ways, when you look at the structure of the brain of the man, it should have given mankind a lot of indication why it does not carry the most heaviest elements in the universe within it. But it carries the reflectors and the lighter stuff, the totality of the structure of the brain of the man, to be able to understand, and the work of the soul of the man relies on carbon, which itself in essence is a structure of the combination of what we call the pyramid of 6. And mankind should have learned how to create the new pyramids that leads to the manifestation of understanding of the emotion of the creation and the Creator and the man itself at the same time, in the same place and the position, where there is no time and there is no space. Mankind needs to move on to understand. Knowledge seekers, you have created everything. You created the ganses of gold. And those of you who strive more and more to create the ganses of hydrogen and below, are those who the souls are closer to the dimension of understanding and being able to manifest and see the operation of their soul. In so many ways, when we gave you the 5 cups, in so many ways, when we showed you the 5 cups, with the soul of the man, as you will make the 6th base of the, what we call the pyramid, that leads in collection to direction and dimension of the path to the soul, the totality soul of the creation and the Creator. You got to understand, many of you have not taken the next steps to the completion of what we call understanding of the creation of the soul of the man. You created the ganses of the soul, of the physicality. You created the ganses of the vertical and horizontal. You created the ganses of the soul, of the man as you thought. What happened to the creation of what is, in a sense and essentially, the Creator of you? How many of you have managed to create the ganses of the plasma, the ganses of liquid and the ganses of gases? That in collection and collectively, you can create the totality of the dimensions of the creation. In so many ways, as knowledge seekers, you still have steps to go. In one of the teachings, I explained the creation of the ganses of gases and liquids. Try to understand it, as without them, you could not be able to achieve the understanding of. As those shows you the detachment, where in physical life, in horizontal and vertical, you confirm your existence within direction and the inertia of its own life. But when it comes to the gans of plasma, then you understand you need to know more. And in that process, you will understand where the weakest fields of the creation sits, that it leads to the creation and interaction with the fields of your soul. That enlightenment will show you the direction to the path of the Creator. In so many ways, some of knowledge seekers went in the path of creating the gans of ganses. And in that process, they found in some passages the ways to create the gans of a plasma. And that is what you will need in understanding and in direction to be able to create the final soul, to be able to create and understand the totality of the work of the creation. Mankind cannot attach itself to physicality in every shape or form, be it the gas, the liquid, and the states of their life, without understanding and possessing the power of the fields of the plasma. Then that field, once you create it in the correct way, might lead you to creation and control and elevation and humbleness of your soul. Mankind's soul is made from the ganses of the ganses of the elements of the body of the mother as an egg, and the ganses of the collection of the ganses of the body of the father, the sperm. How can you create a system when you have not found a match? In so many ways, mankind needs to understand. Mankind needs to elevate itself, to understand, to replicate everything the same. You cannot create a condition to reach the level of the soul of your life if you have not understood the creation of the fields of the plasma. Your system lacks credibility and understanding. In so many ways, would the system stay individually and solid as you make it in the box? Or do you create ganses? Do you create fields? Do you create the souls where it has to be in reality in a dynamic condition? Maybe now many of you understand the collection of teachings over past 10 years, 15 years, where we do not make, but we guide you to make and develop the systems. When we showed the first dynamic systems, and then we created 129 Tesla, that was the first beginning of to show the power of the understanding of the creation of the fields of the plasma, that today, if knowledge seekers understand this, can lead them to the creation of their own condition for confirmation of the existence of their soul, that other souls shall see. This has been gifted only in one condition to Universal Council members in the pure soul of service, and they lose it once they lose and they leave their position. In a way, we have given the collective understanding of the creation to the souls who are here to serve on the banner of the Universal Council members, that they shine. They don't need to make gases, they don't need to make systems to be shown. What they call humbleness and servitude will cause them to shine, that other souls receive the reflection of the beauty of the Creator within them. In so many ways, those of you who became members of Universal Council understand to consider your position and understand to serve. You become part of the reflection of the light of the Creator. That's why we said people will recognize the members of the Universal Council by their light, and not by race and their physicality, as they receive through their humbleness to serve the light of the others, that they shine. In a way, you will see the strength of your soul when you stand next a true member of the Universal Council, as they are so humble to serve that their existence in physical dimension takes no meaning. Maybe if you understand this, you understand how you will see the light of the Creator when you reach that state. And in that point, you become the receiver of the light of the Creator, and you become one of the messengers of what we call universal messengers, as you become part of it. And you become it. And with it, you spread the knowledge of the Creator amongst His created. In so many ways, mankind becomes ready, and the universe has become ready for man to step into the new dimension of not only becoming the member of the universe community, but to be able to connect and see the beauty of his Creator, as he himself is part of this community. The universal community is him, and in totality, we are Creator that will lead to his creation. In so many ways, mankind has to mature in a very rapid way through the understanding of the new technologies, that he can, for the first time, has the ability and be able to deliver his soul to serve the Creator and nothing else. In so many ways, to become so humble that in matching in humbleness, it might reach the position and the understanding of the creation. Maybe today's teaching brings you close to what life needs to be. And in so many ways, what life can be for all of us. As today is the end of Christian calendar, and most of the nations of the world use it as a point of reference. That from tomorrow, a new beginning will bring the new understanding that 2021 becomes the one which mankind will take the path to reach its totality. Maybe now, as knowledge seekers, you go back to your dynamic system. You go back to the answers you made. You go back and reconsider, why did I use gold and platinum to be the creator of my physical matter dimension? And did I choose right to choose whatever you call zinc and the others to be the creator of my soul? Did you choose carbon to be in that box? Did you choose the other elements which brings in common denominator the level of the soul lower, that in the soul of physicality of the vertical people, you can reach the dimension of the creation and the Creator in essence, by confirming your own soul within the structure you made. Many of you knowledge seekers in the coming weeks and days will achieve this. Many of you will become the beacon lights for the others to shine, to be ready for the presence of the what must be promised, the presence of the soul, the condition that will lead mankind to the totality of the physicality, the beauty of the creation, the beauty of the mirror that will reflect the light of the Creator. As I said, it takes only one soul to enlighten the totality. Now you understand. As it does not create light by itself, but it's become the reflector of the light of the Creator in essence, that is so low that it reaches all the souls of the creation. From the time of the beginning of time. Try to build your systems as mankind is physical and he has to see. Or try to become as souls together, that standing in front of each other, you become humbler than the one in front of you, that you may reach the level of the soul of the others within the structure you build. That once one shines, the rest shall shine with it. In a way, you don't need a dynamic system. In a way, mankind has to become the servitude to serve and to understand the totality. It depends on you, which path you take. You go to create the dimension of physicality and confirmation of the fields that it leads to confirmation of existence of your soul, or you go to the way of doing, the maximum, the biggest, to be the highest, and to find out the further you travel from the point of interaction with your soul. As I said, the two contradict each other. Man's life has to be the biggest and the strongest and the whatever to prove, and the dimension of the soul to be the humblest. And the biggest question is, where does the soul of the man meet the physicality of the man? Who decides and how is decided? It depends on the emotion. How humble you change your emotion to be a giver and not to taker, and to serve, and not to be in a condition that one always sees oneself, to own and to possess. And then you'll find out where you truly sit within the dimension of the life of your soul. Today's teaching is very straightforward. You must have understood for the first time the path to your Creator. And for the first time, as a knowledge seekers, we bring the soul of the man to meet the soul of his Creator through his conduct. And man is physical to what he sees, to use the matter states as he led to creation of his soul itself, to lead him to understanding and the elevation of the soul of itself by what we call understanding of totality, to see the light of the Creator. Maybe we all have to become as one soul, that we create the soul of that mirror, that creation, that humbleness, that release for all created things to manifest themselves and to show their beauty in respect to the presence of the Creator soul. In so many ways, we have matured you to one point. Today is the end of the Christian calendar and the end of the life for the dimension of physicality of the man, as we have shown you the dimension and the direction to the soul of the Creator. Those of you who give us up more will receive more, but do not expect to receive, as at that point you will lose, because now you have put limitation and expectation and value to your giving. In so many ways, the gifts are few, but in so many ways, the receivers are many. But there is enough to give and to receive from the totality of the existence. Go back and try to develop, to make, and to make sure that you understand the knowledge. And with it, create the new soul. The new soul to be so humble that it allows you to see and to understand the presence of your own soul. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And as usual, I advise the attendees they can raise their virtual hands and we can allow you to speak. Moises in the YouTube says, this soul does not yet exist on Earth, I think. I don't know. Can it be?
Pardon?
He says, this soul does not yet exist on earth, I think. I don't know. Can it be?
What do you mean this soul?
Perhaps he's referring to when you were speaking earlier about the soul, the ultimate soul does not exist yet, but is going to be here or something like that. I wasn't quite clear on what you were referring to there. And I don't know which part he's referring to in the YouTube. So, Moises, if you can clarify your question a little better.
Is this Moses or Moises?
Moises, M-O-I-S-E-S. Prado. So yes, is it Moses? Anyway, we have to allow that to go for now. I'm advised the chat is disabled by James. Okay, well that's, if you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A, James. And
why is the chat disabled?
we usually, I think it's usually disabled by Stanley or admins before the Q&A gets opened up. Okay, we have a question from Salamia.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's good. May I ask you, do you think that Baha'u'llah is the soul which unifies the planet for this Eve? And after other souls will come to unify the planet, I mean the messenger of God? Thank you.
Many positions, and even the position of the Christ or the other prophets is the same. In a way, they tried to guide man during the time and understanding of their people. And it says, please write your question to Q&A. Is it here or not? Is it here or somewhere else? Yes.
That's just Stanley put that in to for people to put the questions into the Q&A rather than the chat, I think.
It says no open question.
No open questions right now, yes. We're still looking for questions there.
Okay. Now we have to understand it's not anymore my profit or what I believe in the path of who or what. It's from now on what my soul, my understanding will lead me to. The understanding of man today has reached a point to the prophet of the past, because now man knows the path to his soul. Does not need another soul to guide it. It needs another soul to elevate it. It needs a humbler soul to understand it. And this is how, as I said, with a new cycle of understanding the science of the creation, one does not need someone else to be told by, because you are taught to be able to read and understand. the work of your soul, to be able to create the condition for the creation of your soul. In the past, even to recent time, all men were illiterate. Even those who called themselves priests and guidance and whatever. And they made up what they wanted because the others could not read or write either. But this time we have taught the knowledge of the Creator through the soul of the man. Does not need a language to write and read. The knowledge needs to touch the soul of the man. The man will be educated. As in the universe, we have no schools and no languages, but we understand the operation of the creation through interaction of the fields of the existence. In the past, those who were supposed to be the priests and mullahs and the rest themselves were ignorant not only to read, but even to the knowledge and the essence of the message. And they said what they liked, and they did what they liked. And others, through the illiteracy of them, accepted as they could not read or write themselves. This time, mankind is educated, fully educated, in all languages of the man or the universe, from the interaction of the fields to the writing of the pen of the man. Then no one can fool no one, and no one can say one prophet is higher than the other, and he's the last one, and he's the guide to the totality. Now your soul has to guide you.
Yes, I understood. Yes, thank you very much. And I have other question related to Zoroastrianism. I know that Zoroastrianism has 3 dispensation. When the third one will start, or the second, I don't know very well the dates and how it's playing, because Baha'u'llah answered one Zoroastrist fellow of Baha'i faith that Bab was the second dispensation, and Baha'u'llah Eve is the third one, and it will take 500 million years, this eve of third dispensation of Zoroastrianism. If you know some details, can you illuminate me? Thank you.
What do you mean by that? You see, you come from a different path than others, as the others are from different paths from you in their own way. The process of what we call the messengers in the past has been as the man did not understand his soul. Now you understand. Do you need the messengers of the past? They were as beacons to guide you to this point. And from now on, is you who have to understand the totality. How long do you want to put a span for that time of understanding? 500 million years or 1 second for the maturity of your soul?
Yes, this I try to understand since my childhood. And my mother said, you are not a believer and you are bad. Why you try to find the truth by yourself and by your heart and soul? You have to be with a community and to trust. And my father was educated to become a priest, but he never been a priest because he understood that
there's something wrong somewhere.
Yes. And in Baha'i religion, we don't have leaders, spiritual leaders. That's why I accepted this. I said it's a liberal one, and we have spiritual assembly. Everybody is free.
You see, what is important in the new cycle is for man to understand the work of his own soul. And for many of people, they needed the tools to be able to reach, to confirm. This is why we call the science and the religion, or the path of understanding one's soul, has been brought together to show it's the same. As I said in the interview yesterday, the soul of, do we need the Vatican to tell us how to develop our soul? Or is there a place anymore for religions? Unless those who push with it are the ones who want to carry on with the abuse that they are used to. Mankind have been abused so much that the abusers see as their right to carry on abusing. Do we need that position? Or do we accept that we are in a position and a condition of understanding the totality, that we don't need someone who does not even understand as much as we do to tell us what to do? At the moment, the problem with the teaching of the Keshe Foundation is not that we teach you so much above the present science that you know gases and plasma more than the plasma physicist because he can show his work. We taught you more about the soul and the creation of it than you know more than the priests and those who call themselves prophets in some cases. So, do you need that point of reference? Or does your knowledge and understanding and intellect become the point of your reference?
I always said that I don't need to follow something in order to become a good person, to do good things good, and stay good. Our own consciousness is a moral one, and we have to guide us. For me, soul is synonymous with consciousness, but it doesn't matter the word, the reality is the same. I think that we can have direct link with divinity through our soul, and we have to listen to our soul, and he will be our guide. You are right. That's why I found you, because I was searching for people similar to me. Thank you very much. God bless you, Mr. Keshe. I missed yesterday your interview. May I have it somehow?
It is with the Italian community.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Italian chat, or a member of the Italian group can, in the chat, you can see it.
Yes, because I asked Dan from Romania, and he said he doesn't have the link. So
You can. It'll be posted. The Universal Council member of Italy. She's the organizer of it. You can ask her. She can give it to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year in this Christian Eve. And we wait for Mitra on 21st to bring us a new year and a new Eve.
Thank you very much.
Much love.
Thank you. Any other question?
Yes, we have Mehran with a hand up here.
Hello, everybody. It was by accident. I'm sorry, but in fact, well, maybe better not to ask this. I had a question. I saw somebody on the footage in video. Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Nice to hear your voice. And I saw a footage of they killed somebody, very humble person. And when in the room of commander, they send the missile or whatever to him, to his car, exploded. And when it touches, this missile touches the car, immediately sort of flame, but not really flame, from down goes up, doesn't go too much up, maybe. Very little go up and dies, this light. And not only me, but the person who was sending this missile in the room, said, "What's that?" Very, very fearful or astonished of this light which came from the car. At one point of the car drew up. And I used to tell myself, this is the soul of this person. But today, with what you said, I thought it's not his soul. I remember now because I'm drinking. I don't know what you said today, which I found that it's not his soul, it was something else. I don't remember. So what was his soul which coming out of his body, or was it something else? That light, very short light, like a light, long, but not very long. It just came at the moment the light comes from other side to explode, it goes up. Could it be this, the light of the soul of this person?
The present technology, in some ways, as is recorded of the different strength of the fields, has managed to show a number of occasions when the soul leaves the body of the man. In the coming time, as we develop technologies, like in the hospitals, as they say now the person has passed away, we will be able to see what we call when the soul of the man leaves the physicality, when the true separation comes. If you remember the old English way that they used to leave a line in a coffin just in case if the man wakes up and rings the bell as the last bell. Now, with understanding of even the soul of the man has a strength in the field, we can create systems that can tell us the exact precise position and time when the soul of the man leaves the physicality, where a new cycle of life starts, a new birth. And in so many ways, mankind, to this knowledge, will become much more wiser to understand the truth. And maybe in the coming time, when the wisdom of the man reaches its maturity, then we can measure the strength of the soul and find out where the soul has taken position in the universe. In a way, as we create the fields of totality of the life, we'll be able to create GPS for where our soul's new address will be, where on earth finds a permanent address within the coffin, where does his new address will be in the dynamic fields of the universe. These are the truth that mankind has to come mature to. We go to the graves of our loved ones. In the future, we'll be able to go to the position to find what the soul of our father and forefathers have created. Were they, due to what we see from them, correct people, or were they wrong? Do they shine? And what have they managed to achieve in the cycle of the creation?
So probably it was his soul, the light which went up.
Could be. But nowadays we've seen many pictures taken from animals and physical life when they leave the soul damage. Because what we see is a residual of the fields which is at the level of the detection of the man. It's a chemtrail, as you call it, in the what you call work of the physical aircrafts. Is a trail, as we see with meteorites, is another massive fields which leaves, and at that time it still interacts with other fields within its environment and creates these lights, conformation of the exit. It's not that it's one above, but the combination of the field of strength in its environment that in interaction with some will see the trail of it.
Thank you very much. In fact, it's anniversary of his death today, and he made millions and millions of people cry the same day by his death. Astonishing memorial for this person.
Who is that person?
More than 40 million people. It was the General Soleimani, Qasem Soleimani, which was killed. And people cried. Every level of the society cried for him because of his humbleness. He was nothing. He was just, when he talked to people, he was lower than them, even in where he was working in. So people gave him enormous homage. So thank you. And another thing, and now maybe I have time for another question. What is this thing comes from a person that the children, very little children, see, get excited by it, get happy with it, follow it, and they cannot say what is it. They are too small to talk about it. You know, some person walks, and they look, they come, they talk, they become friends. They say bye, hello, they get quiet when they cry. What's this phenomenon of this person is just passing, and these children these babies get attracted to? Is it the aura of the person?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. But like, it's about me. It's about a long time ago. I just noticed when I'm somewhere and a child before they talk, the age of 2 years, 2 years and a half, 1 year and a half. When they cry, they got calm. I talk to them. They laugh. They follow me. They always, most of the time, I have to explain to the parents, don't worry, I'm like that with children, without me liking to be so. They come to me. They get friend to me. They stop crying. They start laughing. I used to say it's like I'm a clown. They are happy to see a clown. And it's always, all the time. And I heard in the radio, it's your aura, which children see. And when they start talking, they don't see it anymore. They become bigger, that they explain what it is. Because it's not my type of age, this age of children, because I cannot talk to them really. I mean, it's not, they are too small. So
you see, what we've said before many times is, what do the babies talk to each other? How do they communicate with each other? Well, they understand their ranking and their position. Even little animals in a herd or in a group, they don't talk, but they know their position, even in getting milk or getting fed by the mother. They're just born from the same mother, and they establish a ranking. Who gets fed first? Who has the priority to get first? In case if there is not milk, who will get the priority to survive? Man relies on the noise and the emotion, but the souls speak in the direction of the existence. Is it the most humblest soul that the others allow to be fed, to become, or is it the strongest as we think? The chances of survival. Or the one which you think is the weakest is actually the one which gives so much, or the one which is the strongest to gain more to survive. How, as we said many times, in what language do the babies talk to each other? How do they communicate? How are they aware of it? Or we see, even with our own eyes, at our adulthood and our old age, but we decide to ignore it because it's not a physical, nobody else can see, then they tell us you're crazy. You're seeing things. This is where the problem sits. Do they hear and communicate through the soul of the man? And do we, or our soul is humbler than a child, that the child receives the message and sees it, irrespective of physical age?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for your teachings today. I just really feel it's very useful for me. And I really think in this area of ability of man to get what they want in peace, I wish from the bottom of my heart that people don't think of killing the scientists and the humanitarians and the teachers, and it stops, because enough is enough and it's not like the past, and we can live in peace and equality and more even. I thank you very much. I wish everybody, I wish you, your family, everybody and their family a very happy and prosperous life in every sense. And thank you again.
Thank you very much. As you say, the killing of scientists. Yesterday was News Without Frontiers report, as they usually report on the 30th of each year of December, in how many journalists have been killed in the past 12 months. This year we lost 50 journalists, and mainly killed by governments and organizations. This year has been one of the worst years of the past times for journalists who reported, or they were reporting or about to report, in the atrocity of one man or one group or one organization. We see it's not just the scientists who are under the pressure. Anyone who speaks the truth is under pressure. Anybody who explains new and corruption has been eliminated in the world of press. In India, in Brazil, in some other countries are leading in this assassinations of journalists. We understand mankind has found the way to silence the truth, but in a way they do not silence. They just delay the process of its revelation. As long as it's not found out while I'm alive, there's no problem. When I'm gone, they can find out whatever they like. That's the process of understanding of the what we call press. It is, if you get a chance to read about News Without Frontiers, you will see the list of them. Young, old, those who were influential and they could bring changes. Scientists are the same, and many others. And we have seen this. Even the men who gathered wealth have gone through the same path. As they gather more, they create more enemies who want to have part of what they have. It's interesting if you can get your chance and read the list of the journalists, the 50 of them which were killed this year, and you see what they were investigating. Many of them lead to creation of new medicines and corruptions within the pharmaceutical. And then you understand, are the pharmaceutical companies to save life, or are there to stop those who show that they're misconduct? It's a pattern of life for humanity. Any other question?
Yes, we got 3 more people lined up here. We have Gatawa first, and Stefania and Dean.
Do we have anybody new? Or you only allow these access to the panelists?
Nope, the hands are available for everybody in the list here as attendees. We have 66 attendees here. There might be a few new
Do you
ones.
have anything on a YouTube? Because this is the private channel of the Keshe Foundation.
Well, we do have a couple of questions in the YouTube, if you like.
Please.
Herbert has several questions about Jesus the Christ. How does an understanding of Jesus the Christ different from your teaching?
I don't teach. We are not in that game. We are not in that level.
Then he says, can it really be about truth if we reject the knowledge of Christ as expressed in the life of Jesus?
What did science, technology did Jesus teach? Acts of conduct of the soul of the man, or in life of physicality.
So he goes on, are you saying that as when Jesus taught that the laws were given as a schoolmaster, are you saying that even Jesus is a type of schoolmaster and your teachings are beyond that level?
Our teaching is beyond the level of what has been taught up to now by all the prophets. We are not prophets. We are universal messengers, where we teach the knowledge of universe to those who are behind, to catch up. We see the most advanced knowledge of science has never been taught by any of the prophets, because they had no scientific background to do. Even what we see now in the world of Judaism, they tell you, if you go to a Jewish house, there are 2 sets of everything, 2 sets of cups, 2 sets of plates, 2 sets of spoons and forks. As they say, they don't mix the plates and the cutlery of what they eat meat in and what they eat milk in, dairy product. Because at that time, Moses observed that the foods, the milk which is cooked inside the pans which they will cook meat in will go bad. So he said to separate it. That was the extent of his knowledge of the science as he observed. In this cycle, we teach the science of the creation and with it, how to conduct the soul of the man. No, in no time, any of the prophets of the past have taught the science. Merely touched it just because they were asked, and they were trying to cover it a little bit. As we know, in respect to the black seed, when they asked Muhammad, bless his name, can you give us one medicine, one herb, one thing that cure most of the diseases for us in the desert? Muhammad said, used the black seed. And now we know it has many applications. Implication depends how you use it. That was the extent of the knowledge as to observed who uses black seed and what he gets. It's the first time the face of the science and the knowledge through science gives meaning, the true meaning to understand the religion, the soul. And you are responsible for it. You don't need a priest to tell you. You don't need somebody who is totally illiterate to teach you, and you believe it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Bernard in the YouTube is insisting I ask the question, Dr. Keshe, does your MagGrav plasma electrical system run on a Tesla system of volts per second, where the power grid is the Hertz system with cycles per second?
No.
Okay. And one more from YouTube before we get back to some of our other guests here. From Stephen, Mr. Keshe, what is the difference between center of mass and center of gravity? And how can the center of mass exist outside of the mass? And can the center of gravity exist outside the body?
Depends what you define as mass and what you define as gravity. And depends if you read the book number 1 to explain what the mass is. And then you will understand the meaning of what is and can it be. Next question.
Okay, we have some attendees here. We have Viviana. Perhaps can allow them to speak first here.
Hello, it's Viviana from Italian Knowledge Seeker Group. Thank you so much. I'm very thrilled. Anyway, I would like to ask you, because some of our knowledge seekers were wondering if what is the mistake into which humanity has fallen and falls continuously. Are these mistakes perhaps the lack of humility and of ethics of knowledge? If I understand correctly, it says the knowledge seeker, knowledge, humility, and ethics must go together. Is that so? In other words, if some of these three is missing, does the soul lose her strength? It says the knowledge seeker, knowledge, humility, and ethics.
Hello, we are losing.
Hello.
We
Okay,
lost
this
you.
was the. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
With this, I've read your inputs in the QA. You say an Italian knowledge seeker asks, what is the mistake into which humanity has fallen and falls continuously? Is it maybe the lack of humility or ethos of the knowledge? It is not the ethos of the knowledge, and it's not lack of humility. It's a lack of humbleness. It's a lack of understanding the position. You see, the way and the path the Keshe Foundation has taken is a replication of the life in the universe. Man, in a coming time, will understand how we thought and how we teach. We have the knowledge into the what I call library of the knowledge of the universe. We share it humbly, and they see it as our weakness. But in a way, it's the strength we have. And that makes us to be humble. We teach vigorously, we teach with a lot of humbleness. But through that, we reach the souls who are ready to receive the knowledge. So, is not the lack of, is understanding the position of, and understanding the value of what you possess in that position. We share through our humbleness and knowing that what the others can do with it, it might advance the level of understanding of the creation or make the physical life more comfortable. But we don't go and envy that we gave this, we are better. As the logo of the Keshe Foundation says, we are here to serve and not to be served. And in this point of time, those who serve and are humble to share everything is seen as a sign of weakness. That you could do more, and that's why they don't. We are breaking into all levels of the society in a very, very soft way. But this time, as we go soft way, we take the soul of the man with us. And this is where it sits. And this is where the change has come in. As I said at the beginning of the teaching, can you become humble enough to become less in the strength as the fields of an electron that you can receive from it? Then you understand what it means and how it works. Man has become too arrogant in his mistaken identity of being successful in physical life. The more successful man has become, the more has brought demise to himself. The more advanced technologies you create, the more cancers you create. The more advanced technologies you create to create energy, the more you kill, like nuclear and the rest of it. In a way, the progress into science has become a noose around the neck of the man of compromise.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have another question from another knowledge seeker.
Yep.
And is that she's asking for help to stop consuming animal proteins, and she asked if it's possible to use sea guns, the ones that are produced for agriculture, that are very, very easy to produce, and they give a lot of guns, and it is possible also to eliminate all the damage from pollution. As
What
much
was
as
to
we
use
like.
which guns?
I think she says the guns produced with seawater and soda.
Sea guns.
Yes, sea guns, yes. In order to feed human beings.
You see, the seas, the oceans are the reservoir of life. Everything which is within the structure of the body of the man is within the ocean. This is why life created and has a composition of all elements. When you use the sea guns, ocean guns, clean, clear one, not the ones on the shores, which is contaminated with every kind of pollution, you, in a way, go back to the essence of the creation, how the life started, where everything was available, and to the ratio that the life supports. So when you make sea guns, you create the gas of all the elements of the creation within this planet. But the present ocean waters are contaminated with every man-made possible polluting products. So would you like to have those within you, even though we cannot see them?
Okay.
As they say, there's more gold in the oceans, waters than is on land, because they're all in microstructure.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we've got a good question from the YouTube from earlier from Dynamic Soul, who says, Happy New Year, Keshe Foundation. What would be an ideal group exercise to practice with each other for us to become humble enough to elevate each other without making and using the cups? Thank you.
Can you repeat it?
What would be an ideal group exercise to practice with each other for us to become humble enough to elevate each other without making and using the cups?
What do you mean by group, and what is the purpose of it? When you create a cup, you create a singularity of events and fields. When you create the condition of individuals, you bring composition of souls. And what is involved with that soul? What factors? What is our needs? What is this position that is there in that time? You have to choose your partners when you do such a thing. What do you know about their structure of their life, and what is their life has been that has brought them to that point? What is their expectation and what is their aims? They say you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends wisely. Any other question?
Perhaps we can hear from Gatwa now.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe, and Happy New Year.
Good morning, Dr. Catherine. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, now you said in the beginning, first of all, let me thank you very much for your unsurpassed teachings throughout all these years that you have been teaching mankind and bringing about global peace. Thank you very much indeed. Now, my question is, in the beginning of this workshop, you said that we'll be able to create conditions similar to GPS to find the souls of the departed and where they went. And now I have a question about those souls themselves. Supposing one soul, such as that of a parent of someone, became the beginning of another star or another universe, whatever. Are they aware when they become that star? Do they remember they used to be the parents of so-and-so?
They remember the essence of their creation, yes. This is why even the sun, even a planet has a heartbeat. Comes with it. It's part of its structure, part of its creation. If mankind starts measuring the heartbeat of the stars and galaxies and universes, mankind will understand more about the truth about the conversion of the fields from energy to existence. Yes, it does. Yes, they do. And this is why we say we want to change the soul of the man, that once they become the creator of new solar system, new cycle, there is no misconduct in it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. I have another question regarding atoms. For example, when you have neutrons and protons and then electrons, I know that the proton is the creator. What is is the electron the physicality? And if so, what is the neutron?
Neutron is a mother and electron is one of the twin babies. The size of neutron in each what we call universe is slightly different in the strength and collection of fields. That's why their cycle is created. That's why different universes exist. An atomic structure in the universe, as we call it the hydrogen, in another universe, could be different in mass and value. That's why we created the condition. Now the environment is slightly different. And so that's how a neutron is the minimum common denominator of fields which can sustain its existence in the dimension of the field strength of the universe, in gravitational magnetic field strength. This is in, I think, in book number 1. We explain that. It's in more depth in book number 4. You can create the fields of a planet or a star within the new structure of the new systems. We can create the heartbeat of the moon, we can create the heartbeat of the sun, and through that heartbeat, we can travel to the depths of the sun. This has already been achieved. We can create heartbeat of different strength and elements within the structure of the system to replicate this life. As I said in the teaching yesterday, in the new enhancement units, we don't create gold. We create the soul of the atom of a gold, that with it, if it needs to, it'll convert to the physical gold. We don't go and bring the energies, we bring the field, the strength of the soul of gold. It's much easier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, and Happy New Year. We look forward to more enlightening teachings in the coming year. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Would like to go to a commercial break and then come back.
Good timing. Thank you for reminding us, Mr. Keshe. Let's go for a short break here, and we'll be back. Okay, welcome back to the 361st Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I hear you're ready to go there.
Yes, we are ready to go. Would you like to fire with the next question?
Okay, first Antonio says in the Q&A, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Now I understand the meaning of the phrase in the Bible that the meek shall inherit the earth, or in another way, the humble shall inherit the earth. This is now making more sense. Thank you. James says, how does one become re-aware of the magnetic gravitational fields of the earth so we can use them to feed and more?
What do you mean aware? We can measure it with the systems which are available. But now we can create it within the structure of plasma systems. It's not in the hand of the big organizations and elite.
So how can we use them to feed and more, he says?
To feed, why do we need to feed? It's available to us, we can make it available. That we give to Earth first, that in giving we'll have the position and capability to receive. Why don't we become the suppliers and the consumers from this planet now that we understand the knowledge? That by doing so, we elevate the soul of the planet, and the situation on this planet changes. And maybe what has been a shortcoming that has brought all these deaths and mental condition through is the structure of his physical matter can come to an end. Isn't this what we are doing on Sundays? Where all the knowledge seekers water or spread gases around the cities and whatever and the rivers.
That gets into Stefania's question, probably from one of the knowledge seekers, an Italian group. Can we clean all polluted water with plasma technology? Can one of the enhancement units purpose can it be to clean all the environment?
This question was asked yesterday as well in one of the teachings by the Italians. Yes, the technology exists and we can do so.
The enhancement unit's usually for something inside the egg rather than outside. Is that true? But how
we can make
for the whole environment?
Enhancement unit can be made to be a transition system, very much like a sterilizing system. But this time we change the structure in a different way, where you can a continuous flow through the system to create a balanced field. These are all coming up in the coming time. As we have developed and we're developing new, what we call field systems, this is becoming part of the work that we have and we are doing. As we said, even in common production of materials, the enhancement units will become a conveyor belt of production that we don't need to dig anymore, damage the mines or what they call this planet by digging mines.
Okay, we have a hand up here from Eric, who also had a question in the Q&A regarding producing a hydrogen plasma, I believe, if it's the same question. So I'll let him go ahead with his question and go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, seemed like it's been a while back. You hear me?
If you can say who you are and where you're from, that would be good as well. Thank you.
I'm sorry. My name is Eric Vanover. I'm one of the good Dutch people from Kentucky.
Dutch are all good.
Well, just
are you from Holland?
Yeah, supposedly my family came from Holland many, many years ago. Probably
Dutch
1840s.
people are good people.
Yeah.
Keshe Foundation is a Dutch organization.
Well, I guess. Okay, good. I feel like I'm a fairly good person. But you taught us to make the CH3, and you showed us further that we could split it into deuterium and tritium. Wasn't that right?
Yes, if you understood it.
Vaguely. I'm just barely remembering this, but you're talking about, making like a hydrogen gasma, or then a hydrogen plasma, and that then I am supposed to humble myself to give to the hydrogen plasma. So do I?
You don't give, you receive from the wrong way around.
Okay.
To receive from the hydrogen plasma. Doesn't mean necessarily what you give, the hydrogen will give back to at the strength you need. Then you are available, or the hydrogen you create is available to receive field energy from the others. It doesn't mean if you are emptying a cup to serve someone, that person has to serve a cup back to you. You get served from somewhere else.
So like somewhere else in the world, somebody's doing the same thing.
Yep.
Kind of like what we're doing with all our Ganses and our units that we're making. Once we develop these all share through they cross connect through the world, right? And we change the world. The attitude of the world.
If you notice from the beginning of time, where we taught the first gases of CO2, if you noticed, we use one common denominator that all of you use. Doesn't matter if it's a CH3 or CO or CO2 as a connection of the carbon oxygen is copper. Yes. Which is the matter existence of the man. So in a way, all of you connect and develop the gases and your spray gases, you have to start creating a common link between each other anyway. We didn't make it through the CO2, through the gases of this planet. We made it through the copper, which is the physical structure of the man. Unknowingly, for a lot of you, we have connected all the knowledge seekers to each other. And in due course and time, we'll tell you how to use it.
Well, I thought we were. I've always thought we were linking somehow. Like when we were doing the GANS balls and the dynamic systems. We're creating these plasmas that extend beyond ourselves. And I guess our bodies have these plasmas too that extend out. And we're just displaying how ours is supposed to work too, right? That we're teaching ourselves to expand our soul and plasma out into the universe, into our surroundings.
In a way, through the back door, we have brought you a lot together. And in time, when the time comes right, we connect all of you without you knowing.
Now, I've always believed that. And I think what living here in America and seeing what we've seen in America the last few years.
Hello?
You still there?
You're breaking up there, Eric. Your signal is breaking up.
You hear me now?
Yep.
I just feel like in America something's changed somewhat, a little bit in the direction of the good, and I was wanting to know if, you know, are each individual knowledge seeker's efforts are contributing to that.
In a
Or
way,
am I
yes. In a way, yes. But we are for the first time linking people without what become knowledge without borders, if you call it. And we have managed to connect the soul of many people together through their own understanding. And as you say, your nation has changed, but the changes to come in the coming weeks in the United States will be the next step for peace. Let me explain something to you. I always don't disclose unless somebody touches it and we disclose it. If you remember, I explained to you the election of your new president and the vice president, when in August this year,
Yes.
we announced our support for Pamela.
Yes.
Because you have to understand that I was explaining this today as well, earlier on, and the possibility of the peace by the election of Biden has become very, very close. World peace can be achieved. There are reasons for it. We don't see Biden to last long as a president, as many of us know. And the situation has more drastically changed in the past few weeks. The new president of the United States, President Harris, is a far left communist ever mankind known. She's one of the far less hardest communist people we ever know. And this will bring America through her school of thoughts. She was bred this way by her father as a professor in what we call founder of one of the hardest far left communist organizations, universities in the United States. She's a communist through and through, but she's the Marxist-Leninist communist. And this will bring China very close to the United States. The same with Russia. And this will tip the balance of the world peace towards peace. Because President Harris finds a lot of common goals with CPC and Putin. This is what, when we announced she will be the next president, we calculated it. Your next president, the first female president, will bring the line of American policy very close to equal and share and fairness in a communist manner. Go back and read about her history of her life. She's brought up by the mother and father who are one of the most far left, Leninist, Marxist parents in American universities. And she'll bring that ethos in. And with it, we don't see further wars. Because in that ethos, in that language, you'll find a lot. Trump in one of his speeches referred to it, but he was not allowed to open it up. But maybe for the first time in the new year, in the next 20 days, you'll have a new president. If Biden gets to the full session, first session, which most of us don't think so through dementia, we will see, as she's already set up, she is forming the American foreign policy through communist structure. Just watch. The number of minorities which will gather into the new administration will bring balance in the whole structure of the United States and interaction with China. In a way, fairness and correct conduct in so many other ways, balancing of equality, will become one of the major foreign policies of the United States through President Harris. And this will see new changes. This will bring new understanding of how mankind and humanity will interact with each other. We expect this. This is why when we announced our position in respect to the next American Vice President some months ago, now you understand the reason behind it. We don't expect to see wars, as through the depth of the, what we call, not sympathetic, but understanding the ethos of the Marxism and working through the way that Lenin has worked, she will bring different direction of leadership into the American administration, which is very much will bring the balance into a lot of things. Would we see more legislation? Yes, we will. And would most of the legislation will be towards minority to bring a balance? We will see. But most of this legislation will bring balance to the nations of the science and technology, which is the ethos of her and Biden. You will see nations, new nations will merge with new technologies and will be supported by the new administration. This is why she chose the board of the science. And this will give opportunities, new opportunities to many nations to merge. And this will be one of the biggest change we will see in the new American policy. And I think it will be a shock to many Americans, especially liberals and conservative, that how the ethos of Lenin and Marxism has established solidly in the White House for the next 8 years. And this is why I said she will choose most probably a lady who is actually very close in the same school of thoughts as her. Women trusting each other to deliver. You'll be a very big shock in your new administration. We will see establishment of the new open policies, see establishment of less interference, but more direct intervention by CIA, which pushes the Leninism, and then they go through Pentagon to bring Marxism in. It's the way they're structured.
Will they expose the corruption of like, you know, they believe that this virus came out of the United States originally. I don't know if it's true, but some of the evidence has been pointed to me that University of North Carolina was behind the research into this virus. And, will that be exposed, or
we do not know. It cannot be told. Nobody really knows how this virus engineered.
Okay.
If you ask someone from the other side of the fence, they say it was the right time of intervention by those who are not from this planet to change the course to prepare for the new changes.
Okay.
This is different school of thoughts. As we said in the Tuesday teaching, Keshe Foundation has endeavored to make sure that by delivery of the new vaccines, that no harm comes to man. If it has an advantage point, it will stay the same, but we will introduce new technology by next Thursday that can lead to 2 or 3 directions. If, for example, the vaccines are microchipped, chemical microchip, will teach you a way to protect yourself as you are in a space. In a space, energies which enter to the body of the man will change the crystal lattice of the cells. As we produce crystal salts in our body, we produce crystal structures which become very much like electronic systems we know, and then they can interfere with the structure of the body of the man and lead to creation of many functions like cancer. The new technology we'll teach next week is the way to be able to convert these chemical conversions into neutral state, which means if any ray fields enters your body and creates electronic systems as we know it now, that it amplifies or elevates or reduces the functional part of the body, at the point of entry of the field, you can change or block or disable the operation of the conversion of the energies into crystals. Last week, I touched very simply on the uses of the colors in the fabrics which create and leads to creation of crystals within the body of the man. That is part of the same teaching. This is part of the same process where crystals create transistors and the rest, and the operation of the fields flow in the body of the man. We do this ourselves. This is how our body communicates with our emotion. Now we show a technology that if anything foreign introduced into the body, you can convert it, you can block it. That it does not affect your emotion, does not affect your operation of the body, does not change your DNA or RNA. This will happen in space. That the combination of different fields create different structures within our body that can lead to creation of these what are called chemical secretaries, that these circuits that can change the operation of the part of the body or interact with the emotion. We teach you how to block the work of these systems as part of the space defense technology for human body. Then you can understand how you might be able to use it in different applications. In a space, a combination of the rays can create and lead to the creation of crystal lattice that is in the dimension of the carbon, and then create interaction that interferes with your emotion. We have seen these through the long-term stay of astronauts, Russian astronauts in space over 6 months to 12 months. Creation of crystals, change of behavior, and understanding that these behaviors can be triggered in certain ways and certain fields. In the teachings of coming weeks, we teach you how to block these, how to stop if such a crystallization or what we call interaction of the fields enters the body of the man in a space. It could be in the shape of a virus. It could be in any other shape. And this is a way that we can prevent any unwanted damages or introduction of new, what you call, elements into our body, can endanger our emotional lives or change our RNA or DNA, as we have seen in space. So we bring the knowledge of space, advanced space technology within the next week to teach you how to block, how to convert, if these crystallization circuitry are established in your body through interaction of the fields in the universe.
So this is another preparedness for space, or for the.
You are breaking up. We can't hear you.
So this is another step in preparing and sending people to space, is to have this technology in place to protect us in our travel. If we're traveling physically in space, or we'll also be traveling using our souls and our plasma, right? Too, without
souls can be affected by the same. So it's a general teaching.
Oh, okay.
It's the same way, because the interaction of the fields with the soul leads to the creation of the physicality of the man. So the souls are vulnerable into receiving fields that creates combustion and creates condition of creation, manifestation in physicality. It is very interesting how a knowledge has a multi-purpose use. Depends on where and how you want to use it.
Well, I never thought of our souls. I've always thought of our physicality being susceptible to viruses, things like that. But this is my first realization that souls can be affected by these things. By these energies.
You see, in the world of science, we say we cannot bend rays. But in fact, if you have the knowledge I have, I can make a circle of the same wave. I can make it to rotate around itself like a twister. But in the world of present science of physics, say you cannot bend the light. Light travels in a straight line. You give me the knowledge, as all of you have, if it's a particle or is it a ray, and then understanding of it as you have access to changing magnetic fields which can interact and divert or attract any ray, be it the ray of light or being the ray of the soul of the man. The knowledge is very deep, and in that process we understand the creation of it. And this is what we are teaching. This is what part of the opening of the knowledge and the science is and will be. The science of creation is not just what man taught. The science of creation is one man have to understand. And then it realizes power. In the new space technology, we need to understand the creation of materials within us. We create cancer cells through emotion, through interaction of the fields. So shall be that we understand we can, the same way as we can reverse a cancer cell to no cancer cell, we can change anything which is produced or introduced into our body as electrical products or collection of the fields in a chemical way into a non-effective position. We teach the universal process of creation. So we know how to interfere, how to block, and how to change. We need it. We've seen astronauts long-term stay in the space, have created crystal cells and different emotional configuration on the return to Earth. Initially, I got involved with these through NASA, through, as I said, University of Washington years ago, to block astronauts to receive cosmic rays in their brain. We saw it as a photon and the flashes of light in the brain creates crystal conditions that some of them creates their own circuitry. Now, and these circuits can create to creation of different emotions or encourage certain emotions. So this technology has been already developed and used in different way. Now we teach it that it can be used in the present time for those who become the passengers of the what are called universe through planet Earth, that as they receive fields of energies in the different shape of viruses and the prevention of the viruses, they can protect themselves. We cannot come back to Earth every time we hit a virus in the space. Many of you know many of these techniques. Now you have to understand how to use it. When your body creates a crystal which is very much like a microchip. You have to know how to open it up and how to disable it, even if it still exists. Gaps and spaces in fields and energy creates different conditions in the body of the man. And this is why, for example, we see many of the people who go through some kind of surgeries, then they show development of the cancer at the point of surgery. The reason is, first of all, the lattice structure of the tissue has changed, and in most cases, we understand due to introduction of the elements of the cutting tools, they create a first condition of the elements within the cell of the cancer. When a doctor cuts flesh, that knife leaves microstructure of the, if it's a rough tissue, the way you put a knife to a sandstone, the atomic structure of the knife stays within the cell of the tissue which is left behind and becomes the center of the cancer. And that's how we see what we say, some of the cancers we see is accidental and through the operation. This is what happens. We change the environment and the copper, as the copper in the tissue, now through the introduction of the change of the field strength and most probably use of some copper products in the operating room, becomes the seed of the copper and becomes the seed of cancer. And then further on we see the production of cancer in the tissue. And this is why we see less and less cancers in those operations which laser beams have been used, because there is no introduction of the matter states into it. If you read the statistics about the number of cancers where the laser has been used for all the application, is more or less to near zero. But those who use the knives and everything else and infected what do you call it, operating room, we see the creation of cancer, because as we know by now, we can create two fields, and if we introduce a third field, we can create the matter of it. This is what happens in the body of the man. And now they create new materials, and those can create new conditions as a resistor and a transmitter and change up the DNA. And this is what some viruses do with us, the energy packs they deliver. We have
They
to
introduced the third field. The viruses introduced the third field.
It could be, yes. Even the condition of the materials, as we said last week, the body of the man, when the third field comes as a coloring or a vitamin additives, which is a carbon base, your body changes and starts producing crystals. That's what we said about the products, the sports products, and the coloring introduced as a carbon base. If one of these carbons introduced as a which is used from coal links and has the strength of the amino acid carbon of your body starts creating matter states. This is what a lot of knowledge seekers never understood. The level of the acidity conversion to alkaline is the point of the manifestation of matter state. This is why the doctors tell you the more alkaline you are, there is less possibility of the cancer, because with the alkalineness, which is the salt base, as many of you produce cancers, you stay in the energy level. As you go to the acidic base, you create the matter state. So as you go acidic, most of the condition of the fields of the plasma of the cancer in your body has the more opportunity to be at the level of the matter state. This is how matters are created. When we see a stone, when we see aluminum, when we see sulfur, when we see gold, we have to understand that's a point where acidity and the alkalineness of the environment of the cell itself, of the atom, is in balance for production of or manifestation of physical manifestation. And knowledge seekers by now should have understood this knowledge. This is why when we give gases to people, or water gases to people, or the doctors, they tell us they increase the use of the higher level alkaline based gases, we see the eradication and change of the environment of the body into non-cancerous, because we change the acidic into. The point of the conversion, if you go to very high alkalineness, you become acidic. And that's the point of the manifestation of the matter state. Where the gravitational and magnetical balance each other and are equal to each other, then it leads to manifestation of the matter state. That's how the surface of this planet is created. Due to, there are two things. One is the heartbeat of, which is the continuation and the flow of the fields, and the environmental condition of the gravitational magnetic field, or alkalineness and acidic. Acidic is what? And what is alkalineness? Which one is gravitational, which one is magnetical? And if you read book number 1, when the two balance out, we get the matter state, like the surface of the earth. So it should be very easy to be understood. When you find objects created or initiated in your body, if you can change the balance, find out what it is, and change the balance in it to balance of the alkalineness more than acidic, you'll find out the element cannot exist. Isn't this what you do in your gas production unit? You create a alkalineness at the level that the matter changes to plasma. You call it a gas. And this is what you need to do in your body. As you increase the alkalineness and you reduce the acidic, the possibility of creation of cancer or solidification and creation of circuitry is impossible. It's simple science, and most of the knowledge seekers have not understood this. As they tell me, explain, but we thought you understood this a long time ago. It's the energy transfer to giving and taking. And when you bring the balance, you lead to the creation. And then if you understood more, you can push the alkalineness to the point of the total field that is less gravitational, that you become the giver, you become the receiver, you become the soul of the creator.
So, less gravitation. Alkalineness increase.
The weaker gravitation.
Weaker.
Yeah. Weaker in the strength. And that weaker comes from detachment when you give more. It has nothing to hold on to, it's an open span of the universe. This is where the science explains the ethos of the path of belief of faith and theology.
Theology teaches to be less gravitational,
less possession and in detachment, isn't it?
Ah.
So that's where the science meets the religion, and science wins because he explains the religion. Religion has never explained the science. That's why we say the messengers of science are messengers of God. Nowhere in theology you can explain the creation scientifically. But with science, we can explain the theology and creation of the soul. So science wins, as is the creator of it. Now you understand, as I said before, Keshe Foundation is where science meets the soul, as is the creator of it.
Is that why human relationships that are not possessive tend to do better? Where, you know, we have like codependent couples that they usually have bad relationships versus ones that like choose to be together versus like you know, being possessive of one being possessive of the other.
Maybe.
Well, I've taken a lot of your time. I really thank you.
Thank you very much
for this.
Thank you very much for your time, and a happy New Year too.
I think it's going to be a great New Year, and I just, you know, live in the United States. I just feel like, you know, you said Kamala months ago. I remember you saying that, and you know, I was telling my friends, and they poo-pooed me, but you know, my coworkers. But I believed you're right, and I, you know, when they won the election, I was like, yep, Mr. Keshe knew all along.
The next phase, what we see is what is in the pipeline is a world peace, but we need the leaders to look all in the same direction. It might be a slightly different policies, but overall, the totality of life will be in one direction. You got to understand the Rothschilds even met, what do you call it, the Chinese leaders in the past. And they thought they can intrude and through their finances build but control the nation. In some ways they could, they did. But when Rothschild met Mao Zedong, he was a very clever man. He used them to bring prosperity to his nation, but did not allow them to interfere with the running of the nation, which is a big difference in the best. They run and they intrude. That's why you got the central bank. And that's why you got your financial structure, which is the Rothschilds running the United States. And this will change internally as President Harris takes over and the other ways of the operation will come into operation. We'll see.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Rick, thanks for helping you all that time too, for the hosting these knowledge seekers all these years. 7 years coming up on.
We're coming into our 8 years very soon.
Yeah.
The anniversary of the 8th year of the Keshe Foundation falls around about March. In those time we are at 361, and if you go 7 by 52, it'll give you an indication when the beginning of the spring will bring the beginning of the 8th year of the Keshe Foundation and the new life.
Yeah, yeah, I've marked my calendar for 3/21. 21.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the way we say it. Yeah, 3/20, March 21st.
March 21st.
2021.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Somebody asked what's the difference between Marxism and Leninism? Marxism is a theology. Leninism is application of that theology to rule. Is the mechanical way, as Lenin always changed the ethos of the Marx into the physical operation of a nation. And in the new American administration, we see a combination of both Marxism and Leninism together.
Mr. Keshe, we have Brandon with the hand up here and has a number of questions about the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Perhaps we can hear from him.
Yep.
Can you go ahead, Brandon? You have to open your mic there.
Yes, thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it, and God bless you for bringing this type of technology into the world. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
How are you doing, sir?
Still here.
Oh, good. Well, in some of the questions that I was wondering, my mom, she had a cancer surgery, a head and neck cancer, that she had to have an extensive surgery over the summer, had to have her tongue rebuilt. And then she had to have her jaw broken for the surgery as well. She has a metal plate in her jaw. With this type of technology, it would, I'm from what I'm gathering, would help with reversing or making sure there was no cancer remaining. But with the metal plate in her jaw, would she have to have that removed before she was able to get in to the machine, or would it cause problems?
First of all, you don't give in to the machine. The machine is a way of what you call progressive development of or enhancement of the perfect condition, which means what we call a cancer. You have to understand if it's accidental or is it emotional wanting to, and what's the reason behind it. And in that way, even with the plates, we have in the process of developed some 10 years ago. But now with the new enhancement units, we can create conditions in some cases for what we call external body parts, depending on their position, to be used or not to be used or be applied in the system. We don't allow anything like plates in the spinal cord. Depends where the jaw or where you assist, where the plate is and what is the function of it.
Yeah.
We've seen in one of the trials some years ago with a person which the shoulder joint was replaced with a titanium joint, that as we went through the process of regeneration and the development of the soul and the physicality, the shoulder bone started growing out of nowhere. And so the man-made titanium joint was getting pushed out of its place as the bone was growing. And the whole idea came that we stop these things when there is an external, like a hip replacement or a knee replacement with titanium, because we allow the bone to grow, to take shape, to go back to its original. When you have an obstruction or you have a knee which is already there, you push the joint out of place. And you can create other problems with it. Sure. It's in a very near future. Things like hip replacements and that kind of thing become thing of the past. We've done many research on it, but with the new enhancement units, the development will be different.
So in my mom's case, in order for it to do, for proper healing and everything, she'd have to have that plate taken out.
I do not know. I'm not a doctor, and our doctors will be at the places where these are, and it all comes together in one place or another.
Okay. So my dad had a question as well. He was born with a blockage in, I believe, his main valve.
In where?
It being like I believe it was in the main valve of his heart. He had a blockage, and then had to have surgery by the time he was 8 or so. With it creating the environment of being in the womb again and helping to the body to heal, do you know would it recreate that blockage that he was born with?
What is as a defect or as what is as a operation of the balance of the energies? There is a lot of expectation and false assumption by many knowledge seekers. Just that we have created these enhancement units, no one should be born with no defects and everything is done wrong will be perfected. But you have to understand, does your soul wants that? Has your soul created that position for its operation to gain or to access to so many other souls?
Mm-hmm.
Just because we have the technology does not mean we can intrude and steal and enforce. You understand? So this is a wrong assumption. Now that we have enhancement units, everything will be hunky-dory and we correct everything. But does the soul need or wants to have that position and improvement? Because what is the purpose of such a position or such a condition in the balance of the soul of the parents and the grandparents who created and did misconduct or did goods that they have to be brought back to? As I always say, when you see a beautiful person, very beautiful, what's the purpose of that beauty? And what is it when you see somebody very ugly, you say is ugly, what's the purpose of it? What attention is the soul needs that it created this beauty? That it needs to absorb fields because it's so low. Why do we see lack of confidence in one of the most beautiful women? They're very beautiful, they're very weak in character.
Okay.
What is the soul needs to create this? Why does somebody go through a handicap to get attention? What's the purpose of the souls which created it? What have they brought to be in that condition?
Mm-hmm. So does that go along with like soul contract on what we do prior
There is
to
no
coming
soul
into this life?
contract. It's accommodation of the totality. Sometimes accident happens, and then accidents are different. Yeah,
Okay.
you see, there is at the moment there is a lot of taboo. There is a lot of concern regarding some of the vaccinations to the children, but we have seen how they change the whole life of a family. These vaccinations for life,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah.
doctors know what they are doing.
Sure.
So one of the senior advisors to the government and to FDA regarding these injections to the children, he knew what damages they do, but the money they gave him was so lucrative that he lied and cheated all the way through. What do these souls do? What do we do with them? It's the same I was explaining recently, past few days. The war in Iraq started with one man's lie because he wanted attention, and the more attention he got, the more elaborate made the lies and made the nation to go into war. They were looking for an excuse, but that he was the excuse.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we cannot interfere and expect just because we have the system, everything we create will be absolutely perfect. The soul which receives it has to come to an agreement with what the other souls and his soul has done and the purpose of his creation. This is a false belief amongst the knowledge seekers that with this, if I have such a handicap or such a disease, yes, we give you the position, we give you this, but would you see where the mistake has been? Would you elevate you and your soul to understand the misconduct of the past, and you can put it right, that you expect such a change in your physicality? That's what we call, we elevate the soul. Because it needs to, it has to be understood. Otherwise there's no elevation achieved.
Okay. So that has to do with the ascension part, with how the earth and everything's moving as well, the higher consciousness.
Pardon?
So that also has to do with the ascension, with us moving to higher consciousness as well.
Yes, more or less. We are
Yes.
created of all this. We are the creator, and at the same time we've been created through it to bring the balance.
Okay. Well, and then so when this technology becomes is rolling out and becomes the new standard, it's going to be. Is it already in place right now that when it's ready to go, that it will be covered through insurance, or will a typical cost for use?
In a way, yes, but in a way, what we are looking at, due to its process, Keshe Foundation, once we launch the enhancement unit, will introduce a universal insurance policy for these units, which means we cover ourselves through the process we set up for those who might want to use in the future or want to use the system now.
Okay.
This is part of, because by the insurance companies, we have to have this and that. The Keshe Foundation will introduce such a policy. You created the fund. This will be in the hand of the, what they call the head of the foundations, to structure such a policy that by the time we get 5 years, 10 years, insurance companies accept, you can subscribe to the policy to the Keshe Foundation. Yeah, because
within 5 years or so?
We do not know. There is no limitation. We'll have the exclusion that most of the insurance companies have. If you had such a disease, you cannot be insured.
Oh, so there will be what do you call it?
Well, I have worked on this. I have worked on this over the past 10 years. I used to own a what do you call insurance broker business. I understand. I'm fully aware of the what you call pitfall of the insurance policies. Exclusions when you need it. The way the foundation will introduce this approach is nobody will be excluded as much as possible. Unless there's this, in a way, you don't need to have a policy. You just get insured the minute you know you're ill and you fiddle with the papers. If you have to insure, you do it in advance, or while you're sick, it can be done. But as the foundation owns majority of the partnerships in these organizations, we allow certain numbers to be done on the basis of what you call it, free use or use to pay later, as you afford. There'll be no rejection. The only way we will reject at this moment anyone is if you have like external systems, and if you can handle it, we develop technologies to handle it, then we can include those as well. This technology belongs to humanity. We are just the caretakers of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So it's my understanding, I mean, it's that in the States, I'm from Utah in the United States. My understanding is they're going to be introduced to the state of Arizona very soon. Is that correct?
We are hoping, yes, we have. We are updating the system so rapidly, and even yesterday in the lab, we're working. The Keshe Foundation team hasn't taken a break, just 1 or 2 days for Christmas holidays, and we're still working. The system is upgraded in a massive way, and we will release the systems hopefully in latest February, and we'll see the development and releases of them.
Oh, wow. The
leap in technology in past 10 weeks that I've returned back into the lab is huge. Instead of waiting and then doing things, we are introducing the construction has not changed. The physical, what do you call it, the envelope, it stays the same. In the technology development with our team, we saw there is no need. We cannot use any control systems. We cannot use any computers because the system creates its own functionality. So we had to take all the computers, everything out, because it overrides. When we had the systems, the computers looking in the background, is a different field flowing than what we're trying to induce. So all the control systems have been ripped out. And a new control system is getting developed to be put in through the operation, the balance of the system itself. It's no use putting the system out and trying to upgrade or change it in the process, because the housing and attachment into the inner structure now changes with a new development. There's no motor, there's no computers, there's no control system. And this brings a new dimension into operation, where the operator's soul and a wish becomes the controller of the system. When you come in with, let's say, a ball, which is the structure of your disease or your soul or your physicality, it places with the doctor. And then you trust it. We talked about this into a space technology, where we entrust our souls into the hand of the pilot. Now we entrust our souls in the hand of the doctors and the physicians, which they accept our souls. And our development at the moment is in that level.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Okay, yes. Let's see. Oh man, let's see. Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not on point as well as I was. I think hoping I would have been. Yeah, the biggest reason that I've been wanting to inquire about this has been the health of my my parents and everything. I'm waiting on a potential investment to hopefully pay off in the near future. When this does come about, then private citizens can buy the equipment to help roll this out faster. We just would have to hire a doctor who is well versed in being able to run the machine.
We advise that number of people who want to buy individual systems to collectively to agree in one center, and that they all have, and they're part of what we said to the people we signed MOU with and contracts, is that number of people in the family, those who buy the system or donate system, will be allowed to use the system on the basis of free use. In a way, you say at the beginning, you say, I want 3 or 5 members of my family to be included for the usage of the system. So it doesn't come into the cost. Every effort has been made to expand the process, but at the same time, a lot of people are waiting for the first system to be shown that they kick out the rest. And we're trying to complete the system in a way of at least a complete comprehensive unit without motors. Now we passed, has been achieved. Now we are in the phase of the control through the thoughts of the operator, which now we can do, has been announced in the systems. And so we are more or less in the final phase to add what we call the environmental system into the solid body base which has been built.
Okay.
Our aim is that when you enter into the system, you see nothing. You just enter. As more or less when you go into the womb, when you look into the womb of the mother, there is no reactors hanging everywhere. You create an environment from outside. And this is our plan, and that's what we are working on. Hopefully, within the next few days, that will be completed. Then the physical structure can be evolved around the new understanding and development.
So, in the case of, like, with my mom's cancer, she had to have 2 lymph nodes removed from her neck, and she had to have her tongue rebuilt. With this, like with her tongue, would it regenerate her tongue?
It all depends what it is and what it'll be at the time. These kind of things, the generation of the organs and part of the body of the man, is a simple part of the technology. Very simple part. The first one we did, it cost us less than 10 cents the system to build it. But understanding the technology, proof of concept. It's when you know how to manipulate the fields of the universe, it's very easy to develop systems.
Yes. Okay.
The biggest problem will be to be able to measure the strength of the emotion, which has led to the creation of what we call the condition.
Sure. Okay. So, with that, with it being the emotion and coming from the emotion of the person, proper channels of that person going through and doing proper healing internally then it frees up to allow the machine to make the job easier by
It's the
searching through
physicality and the soul of the man which accommodates it.
and so by doing soul searching and then really figuring out why do I feel
We don't soul
this way.
search, you make it available. You see, the structure of the new system is very simple, and that is, we create the environment that the life can exist and develop in appropriate way for every cell of the soul. It's very much, I explained this in one of the teachings, that you have a man and a woman, and the womb of the woman is fixed. Is the man which she shares life with, could be a black man, could be a white man, could be a Chinese, then dictates what kind of life will take shape in that womb. You understand? Understanding that we create a fundamental principle of the environment. Then what soul do we introduce into this machine? What was the expectation of the soul? And what does the soul and the soul of physicality agree to develop in respect to the condition? The womb stays constant. What we introduce, because the egg always comes from the same source within a structure, now what externally we introduce? Is it a white man, a black man, a Chinese, short man, tall man? And what is the interaction with the fields which leads to the creation of that child? And now the science and technology is at that level, when these enhancement units, as we said, well, it's like a womb of the mother.
Yes.
And the soul of the man who enters it is like that, the sperm. What do we expect in respect to this constant flow of the love and giving of the system?
Oh, okay. So it's my understanding that prior to taking vaccinations or the poisons that have been put in our food, is it true that when we're first born, we are born with 12 strands of DNA, and then after it's limited down to say 2 through vaccinations, and that to make it to where we're lucky to live 100 years old?
Do you believe that? Does it make sense? Has injections have changed the color of your eyes, the length of your leg, and the color of your skin? Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it hasn't changed the color of my skin or anything like that, no.
Yeah, but you got to understand, with the new technology, you can go, if you understand the desire of the soul of the man is to look blonde, blue, and you're black and brown eyes, you can do that. At least in respect to your own eye and your own expectation. Not necessarily in the eye of the others. You understand?
So if it's your expectation, it is, I guess I don't quite understand.
It's a desire of emotion.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay, that's the desire. If that's what you desire, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
That what desire is a point of satisfaction. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes.
In an English word, we call it craving.
Yes. Okay. So, yes. Thank you for thank you for explain that better. Thank you. And then right now I'm let's see. At some point, as the technology progresses, do you see age reversal?
We don't see age reversal. It is possible, but it is being at the soul that you can live the span of time. We don't expect when you're 60 to be shown 16. You still can do regenerate, but what do you call it? Allow the cells at that age to be. But how can you sell your granddaughter? You are a granddaughter when you're younger than your own granddaughter. It's the acceptance of reality is another point. In the time of the creation, as messengers of Creator, we have the opportunity, and we use this to manifest ourselves in different ages and dimensions, and we can do that. We stay on this planet for thousands of years, and we go from one cycle to another, and according to where we manifest ourselves, we take the shape and the image of the presence and the position. So it is possible. I can regenerate myself many times at the age of newborn till the age of 100, and then take shape in another dimension, another newborn, has been done many times. So it is possible, but you have to understand the desire and the purpose.
Okay. So, but say once it is, and you were say 80 years old, but you want to be 30 again, you would still retain all the knowledge and everything that you have up until that point, correct?
I was explaining recently to one of the knowledge seekers. I even remember where I slept and where I was, and how long I spent in deserts waiting, and what condition and what do I see. In the process of time, when you choose the position of the, what we call the soul of the man, to exist within the dimension of physicality of the planet, you carry the whole memory. As I said many times, as tomorrow is what we call the New Year and we had the Christmas, and we come into the Easter, I said many times, I even feel the hammering of the nail. And then you remember the beheading of the head. Because we've seen and we felt the bullet going through the body at the time of martyrdom. You leave the full cycle with a full memory. And many of it brings pain.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, it's definitely a whole new way of looking at things, of opening up consciously and thinking on just how this works. I didn't realize, I mean, I knew that there was a lot to it. I just didn't realize the approach, and that it's absolutely incredible. So
it is what we call, you call it RNA, we call it memory bank of the soul of the man. The soul stays the same in different condition of physicality, is manifested in different dimensions. This is what, because we do it so often and so normal to us, in many teachings I explained, when your soul arrives at a position, then it decides in what shape and color in respect to its position to manifest itself. If you appear on moon and trying to be the oxygen which is not there, you don't survive. But your soul adapts to the environment, how it can get the energy to live, because breathing is a way of absorbing energy from the environment. What kind of energies can you absorb from the environment of the moon that guarantees the survival of the physicality and the life of the soul? So we carry memory in respect to the position and time of the manifestation. And this is what we do as a passing messengers of the universe. There is no time and space. We just change our position according to the environment and expectation of time. This is why you see in many of the holy books, they tell you how and where and when the promised one will appear. Because it's them, it's the same soul. It's my soul which says, this is how it is. So I arrange it to be there when he arrives because I promised and now I show it. This is when we explain the creation of time and the presence and the position. That's how it is done.
Wow.
We plan it and we deliver. It's just you say, I make you a cup of tea and it'll be Earl Grey tea because I decided I'll give you a cup of tea and it'll be Earl Grey. So I make it that way by the time you come home. We do the same because it's us, it's the same soul. Promises I'll be there at that time and that'll be it. So as I promised, I deliver because I make it. I have the time of 2000 years, you don't. So it appears as to be, oh, is it the promised one? It's the same soul delivering what he said. It's the same when we say something, we don't lie. We just leave it to the time and position for it to be delivered according to the time and the space. But for man expects it to see it tomorrow.
Sure. So with the planning stage prior to birth and all of that, but while we're here on Earth, I don't know whether it's in a meditative state or a prayer state or in a dreamlike state, if we can go into it with the intention, we can alter things. I mean, as a way of more planning, correct?
Intention is a desire. Intention is what I want. So what you want, if it is correct, you can manage to do it. I want somebody to love who's this and this and this. And because I expect that my condition, I find the one I want. You know, it's like you you look for an animal in there. I want a cat, which is this, or a dog, which is this, 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 this. And I go to as many kennels till I find the one I want. Or a car.
Okay.
It's the same desire.
Yep, it's all about intention, like you said. It's about the desire. It's about the craving. That you go into it with what you desire, what you crave, what it is that you want. Then that helps.
It's a shopping list of demands.
Okay.
In a way, if you look at it.
Yep, I got it now. Okay.
But the thing is, do you have the ability to meet the desire? I would like to have a Rolls Royce, but I don't have the money in my pocket. Huh? Do I build a business who can give me $1 million to buy a Rolls Royce, or do I rob a bank and then I desire it and I find a way to create it? It's the same way, but in the level of the soul, you cannot. We promise the change, and the change will come because we organize it the way it is, but we cannot steal from the souls. We encourage the souls to collaborate, to cooperate. We'll find a point of collaboration and working, be it in the creation of a child, be it in creation of a nation, be it creation of the planet or universe.
Okay. Yep, that makes perfect sense now. Yeah, all about Yep, I understand now. Now it'll be a perfect way to be able to explain it to my family on that.
I hope so.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. I wish all the best with your mom and dad.
Thank you very much, sir.
And a happy New Year.
Thank you as well, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Thank you.
And a happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Many of us will spend for the first time this New Year alone, as the lockdowns by the governments enforcing new conditions come into operation. It will be the first time mankind will not be able to get together to celebrate the birth of the Christ, as will happen in last week and the coming of the New Year tomorrow. And this might be a point for contemplation. Does the man need to have companion in the depth of the space? Or do we become, as we are tonight, celebrating a new year, the last man standing? Today, that's what we believe and what we'll see to be the creator of the next generation of life. In a way, this virus has brought many, many new realizations to man. And in a way,
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Your microphone switched off there.
yes. And in a way, the mankind has become a passenger of this spaceship of the earth in the dimension of the universe. And now we are learning how, as a last man, to handle the viruses. As a last man, how we contemplate to exist and celebrate the memories of being on earth while we are isolated. In many Western countries, tonight, they cannot be with anyone but their own family and their own, most of them on their own, as is forbidden. As we actually become individual people in a spaceship of earth, confined to a space and dimensions that we cannot interact. Maybe this is the first time man gets a true feeling of spaceman, locked down with the conditions, and how, as a last man standing, we survive, we live, we enjoy and celebrate a time being and having time to be with each other. Enjoy. Those of you who are believers in the path of Christ and celebrating a new year, I wonder if any government will carry on with the lighting and celebration the way they used to, or as we've seen in some of the cities, a meager one light or one statue symbolizes the coming of the new year and Christmas. In so many ways, we have entered a true age of space and the space technology and the interaction in the life of the universe. The virus has its plenty and solitude and singleness to see if we survive it. Let's see. Shall we call it a day?
Yes, perhaps you can quickly go through this one comment by Baba in the YouTube who wants me to ask you. He says, we were taught wrong that we have to sweat 99% and have 1% of inspiration. I now believe that Keshe technology is the other way around, 99% knowledge and
no sweat.
And the rest is sweat. And no sweat.
No sweat. Plasmas do not sweat, that's for sure.
Says, is that true, Mr. Keshe? So I guess you've answered that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year and a wonderful 2021 to many of you. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and a very big Happy New Year to you as well. What do we have to announce for next week? We have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central European Time as usual. And I think there's something else I'm forgetting. You'll check the usual places for notices if there's something that's missing there. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you everybody for attending once again. This has been the 361st Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 31st, 2020. Okay, we'll be back again next week, same time and place as well. Thanks everyone and goodbye.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. KesheFoundation.org/donate